So
sellers in New York. Yeah.
we got her on the phone right away, and I tried to get it for less. She owed $2,500 in taxes, and the house is horrible, jungle in the backyard, everything. So I tried to get it, giving her $1,000, but she had her heart set on $2,000. You know, she was buying these at the tax auction, and she made out good, well, on a few of them, it sounded like. She
Mhm.
just holds them and sells them eventually for, make 5, 10 grand more.
Mm.
Long story short, um, she agreed. We had to go up to $2,000. I had a buyer that wanted it, right? So I had to do what she wanted pretty much. She wouldn't take the
Yep.
1,000. So I got it for 4,500. And then she wouldn't sign because there's Blight tickets. And she knew there was Blight tickets. I had a good feeling there was going to be. And I know how to search for Blight tickets now. So she had 2260 or 2320 in Blight tickets.
Jeez.
So I went to my buyer and said, look, because he's asking for the assignment and the purchase agreement. And I said, look, she won't pay the Blight tickets and they're 2320. So he said, look, we talked about it. He said he'd split it with me. So I went and split it with her and raised the loan amount to 5,700, I think it was.
You
So
split.
Randy and I are making pretty much the same.
Mhm.
I think we're making the same thing, Randy, or
Yeah, the same thing.
pretty much, because I split
Yeah.
it with I split it with her, and he's paying hers. So yeah, we're making the same amount that
Yeah.
we were in the beginning. So
Nice.
yeah, everything was signed, title was ordered, and he's ready to close. So he says as soon as title gets back, we close it.
Gotcha. Yeah. I told the other Carson he had a deal and sold it to Mike Kennedy. We got it for he got it for like 2,500 or something. And I was like, dude, there's never, if somebody says there's $2,500 in taxes, you should expect for 5 grand in something. There's either
Yeah.
gonna be water bills or more taxes because they didn't, they don't think you're gonna prorate it or whatever. And it turns out like it was like exactly 5 grand. But it's just, there's always it seems like a minimum is like 5 grand. So that's what makes those deals tight. And they always say the smaller deals are the hardest ones, which I mean, this one might not be hard or anything, but
They take
Well, it
the
was
longest to get rid of, right?
What's
Huh?
that?
They take the longest to get rid of.
Yeah, in a lot
Oh.
of cases. I already
Yep.
checked the water bill. The water bill's $360, so that's gonna be a surprise at closing, but I'm not paying that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But she signed and everything.
Yep. So we got that. It worked out. It's just a quick, I worked on it 2 hours, if that,
Yeah.
probably not. Walked through the house and got some good footage for my YouTube page, so.
Yeah, we had so what's interesting is that like I'm in the middle of work towards the end of the day, he gives me a call, tells me about this, and I'm like, all right, let me just dial her up, and we do a 3-way call right there. So I'm at work trying to get this deal going on. and so just in the middle of work, I'm like, all right, it happened in about an hour, less than an hour, half hour or so. So it was nice.
Yep.
Yeah, it's worth it. And you're just getting experience, you
Yeah.
especially just doing deals and you learn stuff comes up. Now probably also how to search for Blight tickets. Never hurts.
Yeah, that's what I need to learn from you actually, how to do that. So, because what's funny is we actually got that off of a code violation list. So I should have known that there was something. I just didn't know to that extent,
Yeah.
Yeah, you just type in Blight ticket, City of Detroit, and you follow and you put in the address, and they'll list 20 of them, but you got to click on them and look at which ones have the price. Some are waived or some been paid. things like that. Some are from years ago.
Okay.
But a blight ticket isn't necessarily a lien on the property.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if you're buying a house in Detroit, you should make sure that the blight tickets are checked, because they do follow the new owner, but they don't become liens.
Okay.
So I would suggest, you know, you make them pay, you know, why? Because eventually they might catch up, or they might make it a lien one day. I don't know. But, you know, so.
Yeah.
All right. So, you know, so what we do here for anyone that's new is we talk about wholesaling. We answer any questions. You could write them in the chat box. I mean, we got a small crowd today, so you could just probably speak up. And, you know, we're in the Michigan. You know, we're just going to show you how we do it, our experience. But we're not attorneys, we're not CPAs, nothing like that. I always say whatever we say is a lie. Figure it, you know, if you like it, try it yourself. You know, so no one sues us. So everyone does wholesaling differently. There's no right or wrong way. The object is getting people to the closing table, being honest, being doing, you know, things the right way, you know, no lying, things like that, you know. I mean, I guess that's sometimes, you know, if someone asks me if I'm a wholesaler, depending on the situation, sometimes I'll tell them, you know, if I don't buy it, I do have investors that I know that will buy it, you know, things like that. And sometimes I might buy it, you know. I'll tell them, you know, it all depends on the deal. A lot of people on here, if we really, really had to buy a deal, you know, we could, you know, and we could keep it. We could go get the money from somewhere and get it, and we could put it on the market, list it, you know, things like that. But everything, you know, so just try not to get deals under contract that, like this one that Randy and I was just talking about, I would not have gotten that under contract unless I had it sold first. You know, it just wasn't, I had no idea, you know. I mean, I could have went to her and said, look, I don't know if I could get you 2,000 or not, but if you give me 3 weeks, I got a few investors, I could do some marketing for you and work on, you know, we'll pay our closing costs, water bill, taxes, all that. You'll walk away with 2,000, and maybe I could walk away with some money, maybe not. Would you do that? And she said yes, and then I could have her sign something, you know, that way she doesn't, you know, think I'm gonna 100% buy the deal. You know what I mean? So you could always come across that way. It could be a good way also.
Yep, I've got a lady right now just begging me to buy her house, and there's a squatter in there and we can't get inside. So I told her, like, I need to find a funding partner. So we need to, you know, I'll give you 10,000 for the house, but I need 10-day inspection period to find a funding partner. And she just like will not accept, you know, that's what I need to do. And she won't sign anything. And then she texted me 10 days later and was like, hey, like, did you find a funding partner? I was like, I can't, you know, I can't legally do that without signing something with you. And she was like, oh, well, you miscommunicated that. And her house is going into foreclosure pretty soon. And like for the past 2 months, she's just been bugging me, but she just wants too much for it, and she has no other option. So I'm just sitting on her, but I'm doing the same thing. Like, I don't know if I can sell it because there's a squatter in there, but I told her I need 10 days to find a funding partner, and I would probably shoot it out to my list, see if someone wants to pay, you know, 15 to 20 for it, sight unseen, which, you know, it'd be pretty, I could figure out pretty quickly if I'd be able to sell it or not, because they have to go based on the outside of the house. They don't even get to see the inside. So there's no setting up showings, nothing. It's like drive by, tell me if you want it. So it's a risk for sure. But the area, I mean, that house would easily be worth 75,000 fixed up.
Oh,
so
someone will buy it. 100%.
Yeah, you know, you can tell there's a hole in the roof. It needs a new roof, but it's got an attached 2-car garage. It's got a basement, vinyl siding. The tenant's just an asshole.
Yeah.
So
My buyers, I got a few buyers that buy like that, but they'll go knock on the door and try to get in. I always tell them, give them $50, give them $100 bill, might be worth it, even if you buy it or don't buy it, and you talk to them and say, look, do you want to stay here? If I buy this house, do you want to stay here? And you try to become their friend, even though you don't have any intentions of letting them stay there, unless they prove to you that, they might be a good tenant or not. But I would say 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. But if they 100% say no, and like it sounds like yours, Carson, is not, you said they're not,
he says he owns the place. I talked to him. Like, I drove by probably every day for 2 weeks to try to catch him at the house. And because I went up there with one of my buddies and we started knocking on the door, but both the doors are boarded shut, like from the inside. So you could see when you look in, there's like dressers on the inside. So I tried to, like, I went and I just kicked the door. Like, I was gonna try to kick the door in. And my buddy like walks up there and looks in the little peephole and he's like, oh, there's somebody in there. And this dude there's no electricity on this house. So this dude's walking up to the door with like a flashlight on his phone. And so we went to the other door. I was like, should we leave? Like, I was kind of nervous. And then my buddy just stood there. He's like, no. And he kept knocking. The guy never showed up. And so I don't think he ever saw my face. So I came back later and I saw him with his girlfriend in the driveway. And I yelled like, hey, do you guys live here? And she was like, no, my boyfriend does. And he got out of the car and came and talked to me and didn't even recognize me. He was like, yeah, the police were trying to get in the other day. They were kicking on my door. And I was like, oh man, no way. That's crazy. But he was just like, yeah, I own this place. I've been stacking up money for 2 years. And so, I'll have my day in court if someone buys this. But of course he doesn't own it. He just thinks because he's lived there so long that he owns it. But these guys living here with no power, no electricity. There's a hole in the roof. Like, it's nuts. So I think it'd be pretty easy to get him out, honestly. He's just talking a big game, I think, because he doesn't want anyone to mess with him because he's living there for free right now.
Right. Yeah, I guess maybe buy it on a land contract from the lady with zero money down, and then maybe talk to your police guys to get them out.
Well, the thing is, I have to pay up the taxes. I have to pay at least 2 years of taxes to get out of foreclosure.
But you got till September to do that. I know it says March.
We just had a foreclosure happen in April. On the 15th, we had a couple of houses that we were looking at that went into foreclosure.
Yeah, but you really have until September. They say that. Look at it. When's the last time you looked at that couple houses? Recently?
Yeah, it was the 16th. We called the city and they said, if you don't pay this much by today, it goes into foreclosure.
Okay. Call them tomorrow and see if you got till the end of May now.
Yeah.
Right. Or whatever. Say, we almost got the money together. Can you give us an extension and how long? And see what they say. Because I know in Detroit, the way it works is they always give you to the end of the month. You say you got till March 31st. And then after March 31st, they're going to give you to April 30th. After April 30th, they give you to the end of May. And then after May, they give you to June. And then they finally cut it off. Mm-hmm. And once they finally cut it off, you go down there with the money. And you might be able to, it's like a 50-50 chance you could stop it.
Gotcha.
So, but Flint might be different. Every city does their own.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll see. I'm actually gonna message her right now because I just left her on red. She keeps just dodging what I'm saying and saying she wants more money for it and going on and on and on about how nice the house is. And I'm like, lady, there's literally a hole in the roof, no power, no electricity. You said the basement flooded and there's a squatter there. Like, this is not a nice house. And then she'll text me the next day like, hey, you want to buy it? I'm like, I told you. So, I mean, it's just going to get to the point where she just has no other option. But, I'm going to text her right now.
It sounds like a $5,000 deal to me, right?
You think so?
Yeah.
I thought about buying it and kicking him out and seeing what it was like. But, then I'm taking the risk on.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
still might do that. I don't know.
right. Anyone who's got some questions or some wins or some deals that they're anything or
I got a
anything
quick
that,
question.
out of the ordinary.
I got a quick one. I guess a realtor just hit me up. It's actually funny, an app that I joined when I bought my house. Let's see if I can find the name. It's the Next Door app. I don't know if I can show it.
Yep.
Yeah, so I posted something on there, and a realtor hit me up. So, and what you were saying earlier about like doing things right and this and that, I kind of wanted to get your opinion on how to work with realtors better. She was just kind of asking like what I'm looking for, and are you looking for flips, this and that. So, just kind of the best way to go about that.
All right, Carson, you're the Astro flipper, man.
So for that, I would say, I mean, Matt, you bought the house that you live in, did you not?
I did.
So you're a buyer, you're looking for flips and you're looking for rentals. None of that is a lie, because you're looking for flips and you're looking for rentals. You found the right deal when you were looking for a wholesale deal. You decided to move into it, so you're a buyer. And I'm not trying to like, little white lies. Like, you are legitimately a buyer, but you're not going to buy every property you come across. So, when it comes to realtors, I tell them that it kind of depends too where I meet them, I guess, in the context of it. Like, a lot of times they're gonna, if it's at a meetup, they're gonna know I'm a wholesaler, and I tell them that all I do is wholesale, and like I'll take care of their leads in that area or whatever. But I just, when I talk to realtors, I say, hey, look, let me get your leads you don't want, your dirty houses, your people who don't want to list with a realtor, the leads that you would just throw away. Give those leads to me, and I'll flip them and give you 50% of the profit. And by flip, I mean wholesale. But realtors really don't care that you're wholesaling if you close the deal. So I never start the conversation with that. And then it's just like, you have to explain that to them. They get confused if they don't know what it is, and they won't even send you anything. So I always start with, I'm a buyer when it comes to realtors. And then if I end up selling it to somebody else, then I tell them, okay, look, I sold it to somebody else. This is what's happening. But, just be upfront with them about it. And I always do like inspection periods, because realtors are used to doing inspection periods. So they don't think it's out of the ordinary when you offer an offer with an inspection period. So that's when you say, hey, look, I need to get my funding partners through here. And that's what they are. They're legitimately funding partners. They're bringing the money to the table. So that's how I would approach it. Tell them you need an inspection period to bring funding partners through. Don't do that until you get a deal that you're interested in, because then they like might immediately think, oh, this guy's not serious or whatever. But tell them you're a buyer, you're looking for dirty houses, bad leads or whatever, and kind of go from there. Does that kind of make sense, or is that all over the place?
Yeah, no, that pretty much answered it perfectly.
Yeah, if you could keep the realtor, keep it off market instead of going on the MLS, would be way better,
I always tell the realtors, look, I'm set up on a ton of searches. I have access to the MLS, so I tell them that.
Yeah.
I say, look, I have access to the MLS. I see everything that goes on the MLS. And a lot of times they'll ask to put you on searches. Like, no, you must have misunderstood me. I already see everything that goes on the MLS. I want off-market properties. I don't want stuff that's already been on the market. I want that person who doesn't even want to list with a realtor, because they're going to get paid if they list it, so they might as well list it if they want to list it.
Right.
But if it's a deal that they don't want to list, that's you want to get them in the mindset of like, oh, this isn't for me. I can't list this. So, oh, Matt said he wants those leads, and they'll start sending them to you.
Yeah.
Like, I get a deal every single month, at least, just from realtors sending me leads. Like, oh, this person said they don't want to list. They want to sell to a cash investor. Here's the flip I'm doing in Burton right now. It was the same deal. A realtor was like, oh, they already have an accepted purchase agreement on another house. They don't have time to list and do this with their house. They need a cash offer. What can you pay them? So just put yourself in that position. And I was planning on wholesaling that house, but I told them I was a buyer, and I ended up buying it. I got private money or hard money and closed on it. So you're going to do a little bit of everything. So always start with you're a buyer, and then, at the end of the day, tell them what you're doing, if that's what you decide to do.
Yeah. I just thought of something while you're talking, Carson. You can, like this house that Randy and I sold, and I did a video on it, I'm gonna put that in a Dropbox, and I'm gonna send that to realtors and say, look, I bought this house here. I got this house sold. So when you come across houses that you don't want to waste your time, because 3% on 10 grand is nothing, I'm gonna pay you $1,500, or I'm gonna pay you, $1,000, whatever I mean, 1,500 for a $10,000 deal. A lot of people's minimum is like on a 50 grand or less, they're gonna want 2 grand or 1,500 or something. So you can start showing them stuff that you are able to get rid of.
Yeah.
Instead of you being a realtor, say, look, I'm not a realtor, but I know how to buy houses and find people to buy them.
Yeah. The conversation just all depends on it's just all situational. Like I tell some realtors and wholesalers, some I'm buyers. Most of them I tell them wholesalers. But it just depends. It just depends how well you know them. And if you tell them you're a wholesaler, it's going to take a minute for them to want to do business with you, most likely, because they're going to want to see if you're a good dude. And if you have a good reputation, then they'll send you deals. But, starting out, buyer is always the best way to go, in my experience. But I love realtors, and realtors sell a lot of my deals all the time too. And I tell them when they're selling my deals, I obviously tell them I'm a wholesaler. I just pretty much say, look, I get off market properties and connect them with investors. Like, is that something you'd be interested in? And they're like, yeah, I have investors. And then I tell them they can upsell my properties, and they do that too all the time. Like I sold one, I sold it to the guy for 21,000, got it for 4,000, sold it for 21. He sold it to his guy for 26. So he made $5,000. He would have 3% of that is nothing. It's not even $1,000. Right. I don't think it is, but no, it's not. So, he made $5,000, was super happy. He's bought a couple other houses for me since then. But it's just like every realtor is different. So you just kind of have to judge it by the person.
Yep.
Dig it. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep. Talking about realtors, I have one question. I have this friend and his family own a real estate broker, and I'm able to get expired listings from him. And I've gotten a few thousand expired listings, and I was wondering, since I'm a wholesaler, how do you guys go about marketing here in Michigan? Do you guys use direct mail or SMS or anything else?
Todd?
We name the mark, you could use, it all depends. I don't direct mail, but my suggestion is pick one or two, or really two marketing streams in the beginning and stick to it. But you can use bandit signs. Let's name them all. Bandit signs, direct mail, SMS. Networking is huge. Squatting up with others is huge. What else is there? Pay-per-click, Facebook ads. There's,
And obviously cold calling. So
what's that?
obviously cold calling. So
Cold calling, talking to people, driving for dollars.
yeah.
Having a mail lady drive for dollars for you, or a garbage person driving for dollars for you. So there's so many different ways of doing it. So, I mean, if you're getting expired listings, that's another source. You could go to Craigslist. I mean, the more I talk, the more I'm thinking of other things. So,
Yeah. So Todd and I do our other guy who's not on here tonight, Mike, does just pretty much strictly cold calling, and he just started PPC. But we do mainly networking at this point is how me and Todd do it, like referrals, realtors, wholesalers, squatting up with other wholesalers. I had deals last month that I sold that were from wholesalers, and then Todd sold some of my deals. Another wholesaler sold some of my deals, realtor sold some of my deals. So we all started out cold calling, as all three of us. That's how we started out, and that's the tried and true way of doing it. You're gonna get a deal if you cold call consistently. And then once you have some money, then we recommend bandit signs, and there's a couple other things that are really good too. But that's kind of how we all started, and then we've just built up a big enough network to now where we have people sending us deals, and we understand the numbers well enough. That's another thing. Learn your numbers first by doing cold calling, and getting your feet wet and really digging into comping deals, figuring out what things are worth before going to other wholesalers and trying to sell their deals, because you don't even know if their deal is a deal. So I always would start out direct to seller, and then just as you're building your network, keep in mind how you can work with those people. Can I sell their deal? Can they sell my deal? Todd, can you enable screen sharing real quick?
Yeah, sure. I think I can. Hang on.
I just wanted to show a couple things.
Have you guys wholesaled here in Washtenaw County?
Washtenaw,
Because
Macomb,
I'm interested
Ann
in like,
Arbor?
yeah, like Ann Arbor and
Yes, I
Ypsilanti.
have. Yep.
Do you know any like I contacted them about putting bandit signs, and
Right. No.
unfortunately, like Ypsilanti, they say no, but Ann Arbor, I seen a couple of businesses do it, but just wondering, where do you guys use your bandit signs?
Not in Washtenaw County. Yeah. Hang on one second. Let me try to share.
Yeah,
how to do
Caleb,
that.
like it's kind of been trial and error for me. I just had the city, one city in my county call me the other day and say, hey, look, you're not allowed to put signs here. Come pick up all your signs. They were really nice about it, but we can't put signs there anymore. So it just has to be low, like high crime areas, because they're worried about other things more than picking up bandit signs. They're picking up dead bodies in some cities,
Okay.
Flint and Detroit. So they're not worried about the, we buy houses signs. But, it just kind of, what I've noticed is like areas that are worth under 100,000, you're pretty much good in. I've never had any complaints, even like closer to 150. But once you start getting to 150 as an average and above, which where you're at, that's very common to find houses for that price. The cities are going to start, being a jerk about it.
Yeah. If you find an abandoned house, I've done this before and I put a bandit sign on the house. Okay. If you could ever get a vacant lot for $100, you could put a nice bandit sign on that vacant lot. Stuff like that. I've done that before also. I mean, I guarantee I could drive by like 5. I still get calls on my car rail from this one piece of crap house that I never sold. Or no, wait. It was an abandoned house that an investor out of state owned, and I put a bandit sign on it. I get calls all the time from that sign, and they want to buy that house until I tell them the price. But anyway, so you got to be creative when it comes to those bandit signs. If you find an abandoned commercial building, abandoned property or something like that,
But mailers are another good way. Like if bandit signs don't work, mailers are a great way to find deals. I've never done them, but I know people who do them out there and crush it with them. Ron Walraven used to do mailers and did really well. He was doing it in Ann Arbor as well. So there's, Google pay-per-click is a great marketing source if you have money to spend. But typically people starting out, like they have other stuff they're working on. So I just say start out cold calling. It's cheap, it's effective. If you have time, it gets you comfortable talking to sellers. And then, from there, when you start making some money, you can move on to like paid marketing. I'm gonna share my screen real quick and see if anyone can tell me what is. I got this email today at 9:30 a.m. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay. And I don't care if you steal this lead, by the way. Go for it. It's phenomenal. Good morning, Carson, blah, blah, blah. This is all you need to look at right here. Address, asking price, 83,000. Okay. The comps, first comp, 80,000. And it's a fixer upper.
So, is that a great
So
area?
it's a medium area. Like I have rentals over here, but it's an 80,000 fixed up, super nice type of area.
Right.
And he's asking 83,000. And the house is comping out. He's sending me the asking price of 83,000. And then he's saying, hey, the comps are 80,000. So first thing I did was throw it into Zillow. And I just have to rant about this for a little bit because it's just crazy. The sold price is 45,000 like 2 years ago. And I'm like, how? And so my response was, I said, hey, just to clarify, they want 83,000 for a property that counts out to 80,000. Are they expecting investors to lose money on this house? And then he said, and this guy's a cool guy, nothing against him, but thanks for your reply. My apologies, I meant 70,000, but that still wouldn't leave much of a spread, correct? And most likely, in my experience, he probably meant 83,000 and was just trying to make 40K on his first deal. And now he's like realizing it's not a deal. And this is like on a main road and everything right here. The comps he was pulling are from right here, totally different area. This is way worse than right here. So it was just like, you know, there's so many wholesalers that are starting that are trying to make money off other people's deals, which is good. That's what I do a lot of times, but they don't understand numbers. They're trying to make deals out of things that are not deals because they don't want to go find good deals. It's like, it's just crazy. Another one I just had the other day, like you got to be smarter than this. I can't get rid of this freaking thing.
Carson, how did he find you again?
He found me through a mentorship program I'm in.
Okay.
And the mentorship program, Astro Flipping, there's like 2,000 members, a lot of really heavy hitters in this thing. And so when people get leads, you know, the whole concept of Astro Flipping is working with other wholesalers, selling wholesalers deals, having wholesalers sell your deals, working with realtors. So whenever someone says, oh, I have a lead in Flint, the admin tags me in it because he knows I'm in Flint, Michigan. So, you know, I just get people sending me deals all the time. But it's just like, and I appreciate that. That's a good position to be in for sure. But at the same time, you know, it's just like as a new wholesaler, you need to just use common sense. And like this guy right here.
Not if you're getting deals like that, right?
Yeah, I know. This guy right here. Another thing too, I've had 3 people this past week say, hey, here's the address of this house. How much can you pay for it? No photos, no basement, garage, no bed bath count. And I'm just like, guys, like I'm not a wizard. Like I can't just tell you a number because you gave me the address. And so this guy, he said, here's the address. He wants 110,500. I said, what's the ARV? He said around 95 to 100. And it's a fixer upper. And I'm just like, what is your deal? But it's really common for new wholesalers because the reason people get into this business is because posts like this right here, because you can make $1 million at 18 years old. So they want to make $1 million on the first deal instead of doing enough deals and providing enough value to the market for it to be worth it. And they try to upsell their deals that are only worth 40K, try to sell them for 60. Like you have to make it reflect what the house is actually worth. So